There are a lot of commonalities between India and some of the African powers. For instance, some of us call India a bridging power. We talk to both camps, as it were, in international politics, and we're trying to find convergences where there are very many differences. Similarly, for many African players who've refused to take a side, especially in the war, do you think the inclusion of African powers and the African Union is going to mitigate some of these divisions and gaps?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. That is the democratization of these decision-making groups. We can also talk about the United Nations Security Council. It's time for reform, time for countries like India and Nigeria to belong, to be permanent members. And, this othering, really has to stop. It's not you're either with me or you're against me. There's common ground. India, for instance, belongs to the BRICS group. It also belongs to G20, for instance. So I think there's enough room, to belong to several groups and and work together.
What about the India-Nigeria bilateral partnership? How much do you see that taking a part of the conversations that you're going to have? What sort of developments and forward movement do you foresee?
There is so much that can be done. Nigeria is on a very similar trajectory as India in terms of population growth, in terms of the growth of the economy. We're very close trade partners. We export, we're an hydrocarbon exporting country, and a lot of it comes to India. We're both concerned about climate change, of course. So, there's going to be an energy transition. We consider gas an energy transition fuel, a significant one, because we want to industrialize, expand our manufacturing capacity and create jobs, as part of President Tinubu's 8-point agenda. Beyond that, in terms of business process operations, that call centers and stuff like that, that India is a leader. IT, you had the digital India. There's so much that we can learn from. And then in terms of fintech, we're also quite advanced compared to some countries, even developed countries. If you look at payment platform, we have the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System, which allows for real-time payments to be settled, that is owned collectively by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the banks that exist in Nigeria. So that is quite advanced, because a lot of more developed countries are still slow when it comes to payment systems. So we're quite advanced, and it is fueling that growth. We have a lot of young people. It's a youthful population, and that's fueling a lot of growth in terms of information technology, IT, and startups. So, we will collaborate with India for that growth. While we were here, there were pledges for investment, upwards of $14 billion.
So India?
Yeah, from India. Private sector. The governments, of course, are there to support, create the environment for businesses to thrive. So we're very optimistic.
Yes, and fintech you mentioned is a focus area. Have you had the chance to see how UPI works? That's been one of the success stories of India, the payment platform.
I have read about it, but I haven't quite experienced it. Unfortunately, the time is short, but I know this is not going to be the last time I'm in India. It's only the first, and I'll learn more.
Let's hope so.